first of all, I spent a lot of time here. I love Indianapolis. I'm a Midwest girl. I enjoy spending time here. A lot of people like to get away from the cold. I don't really mind it as much.
What happens when a prodigy becomes a target? When every dribble is scrutinized, every shot is a headline, and every opponent sees you not as a player, but as a prize to be broken, a reputation to be built upon your downfall. For Caitlin Clark, this has become her shocking reality in the WNBA, a reality far harsher than anyone could have predicted. The world has celebrated the Caitlin Clark effect, marveling at the sold-out arenas, the record-breaking television ratings, and the unprecedented buzz she has brought to a league deserving of the spotlight. But in the shadows of this glowing narrative, a darker story has been unfolding, a story of relentless physical assault and psychological warfare. We've all seen the highlights, the logo threes, the dazzling assists, but a recent string of events, culminating in a brutal injury to another player and a face-to-face confrontation with the league's reigning queen, may have finally pushed her past the breaking point, revealing a side of her no one saw coming, a side forged in the crucible of professional hostility. It all started the moment she stepped onto a professional court, wearing a target on her back, so big it was practically part of the jersey. This wasn't just the typical welcome to the league moment that rookies endure. This was something different, more calculated, more personal. The league's veterans seemed to have made a pact. The phenom, the savior, would not have an easy path. She would be made to earn every inch of the court, to pay for every headline with her own sweat and blood. We saw the first, and perhaps most blatant, example with Chennedy Carter's infamous hip check. It wasn't during a contested play for the ball. It was an off-ball cheap shot, a calculated act of aggression, designed for one purpose: to send a message. As Clark waited for the inbounds pass, Carter blindsided her, leveling her to the floor. The initial whistle was just a common foul, a shocking oversight that underscored the chaos. The world erupted. The play was analyzed from every angle, revealing the clear intent. The league later had to upgrade it to a flagrant 1 foul, but the damage was done. Carter's post-game deflection, a terse, "I ain't got no comments," spoke volumes. It was a declaration that this was the new normal. Days later, Dejonai Carrington of the Connecticut Sun made it her personal mission to physically dominate Clark. It was a masterclass in psychological and physical warfare, using a level of aggression that blurred the line between defense and harassment. Carrington was in her face, bumping her, mocking her signature moves, even physically backing her down like a post player, though Clark was trying to run the offense from the perimeter. The message was being reinforced, etched into Clark's psyche, with every shove and every taunt. These weren't isolated incidents. They formed a clear and disturbing pattern. Every team, every night, there was a new defender assigned to be Clark's shadow, their primary objective not just to stop her, but to punish her. They were bumping, grabbing, and pushing her long after the whistle, testing the limits of what the officials would allow. The strategy was clear. If you can't stop her shot, then stop her from even getting the chance to shoot. Wear her down, frustrate her, make her question if the physical toll was worth it. They were testing her, not just her skill, but her will, her very spirit. And for weeks, Clark absorbed it all. She took the hits, got back up, and tried to play her game, often with a forced smile, reassuring the media that it was just part of the sport. But everyone has a limit, and the league's relentless physical assault was about to be personified in one player, leading to a moment of brutal clarity that changed everything. The raw, unapologetic physicality of the WNBA found its poster child in Phoenix Mercury guard Sophie Cunningham. Known for her grit, her unrelenting hustle, and a defensive style that leaves bruises and mental scars, Cunningham represents the old-school mentality that Clark is now facing every single night. She is a bulldog on the court, a player who prides herself on doing the dirty work, on making stars uncomfortable. In a recent, grueling matchup between the Fever and the Mercury, this clash of styles was on full display, a microcosm of Clark's entire rookie experience. The game was a war of attrition from the opening tip. Every time Clark tried to get open, Cunningham was there, a constant presence, using her strength to deny position, fighting through screens with a ferocity that bordered on desperation. The air was thick with intensity. Then came the moment that made the entire arena hold its breath. On a drive to the basket, a collision occurred, a tangle of limbs and a hard fall to the floor that sent a player crashing down. The G injury from that game wasn't just about one player getting hurt in a single moment. It was a symbol of the constant, looming threat that hangs over Clark every second she is on the court. It was a stark, visceral reminder that in this league, one wrong step, one overly aggressive shove, one defender's reckless abandon could derail a career in an instant. Watching that play, you could see a subtle shift in Clark's demeanor. The frustration that had been simmering for weeks began to harden into something else, something colder, more focused. It was the dawning realization that this wasn't just about winning games anymore. It was about survival. The league wasn't just trying to beat her on the scoreboard, it was trying to break her physically. And that simmering frustration, now mixed with a cold fury, was about to boil over against the one person who sat on the very throne Clark was destined to claim. Before Caitlin Clark became a household name, the undisputed queen of the WNBA was BREANNA STEWART. A two-time champion, a two-time MVP, and the formidable face of the New York Liberty, Stewart represented the pinnacle of the sport. A dominant force who had earned her accolades through years of excellence. But the arrival of Clark created a new, unspoken tension, a disturbance in the league's hierarchy. Stewart herself has made comments, always carefully worded but clear in their underlying intent, about the sudden explosion of media attention. She spoke of the Caitlin Clark effect with a professional respect that couldn't quite mask a hint of veteran indignation, subtly reminding the world that the league had plenty of stars long before a rookie from Iowa showed up and was anointed the savior. It wasn't just talk, it was the foundation of a rivalry between the established guard and the new revolution, a battle for the soul and future of the league. Their on-court matchups became must-see television, marquee events that felt more like championship bouts than regular season games. Stewart, with her long, dominant frame and versatile inside-out game, and Clark, with her limitless range and revolutionary offensive firepower, were two titans battling for control of the league's narrative. For Stewart, it was about defending her legacy, about proving that the path to a championship still ran through her and the established elite. For Clark, it was about proving she belonged, that the unprecedented hype was not just a media creation, but a tangible reality. Each game between them was a high-stakes chess match, filled with subtle jabs, fierce competition, and a palpable tension. But their most recent encounter would be different. It was set against the backdrop of the relentless physical abuse Clark had endured all season, and the fresh, haunting memory of that brutal game involving Sophie Cunningham was still casting a long shadow in her mind. The stage was set for a showdown, not just between two players, but between two eras, and the new era was about to announce its arrival with the force of a thunderclap. The pressure had been building for weeks, a silent volcano rumbling beneath the surface of Caitlin Clark's calm exterior. The game against the New York Liberty wasn't just another game on the schedule. It felt like a culmination, a test of everything she had endured. Taking place in front of a sold-out, roaring crowd, with the eyes of the entire sports world watching, this was Clark's moment of truth. She was coming off a brutal string of games where she had been treated like a human pinball, culminating in the punishing affair against Phoenix. You could see the exhaustion, the mounting frustration etched on her face during warm-ups, a stark contrast to the joyful college player who had captured the nation's heart. The media narrative was swirling, a tempest of questions and doubts. Was she tough enough? Could she handle the nightly physical gauntlet of the WNBA? Was the pressure finally getting to her? The Liberty, led by the formidable BREANNA STEWART, were the perfect storm. They were a championship-caliber team, a juggernaut known for their tough, disciplined, and physical defense. They weren't going to roll out the red carpet. They were the league's gatekeepers, and they were going to make her earn every single point, every single inch of respect. From the opening tip, the intensity was suffocating. Every time Clark touched the ball, a defender was in her jersey, their hands, hips, and elbows, a constant source of harassment. Every screen she tried to run through was met with a solid, unmoving body. It was the same message she'd been receiving all season, but this time, amplified by the stage and the opponent, it felt different. This time, it felt personal. And then, in the cauldron of the fourth quarter, with the game hanging in the balance, the volcano finally, spectacularly erupted. It wasn't a shove or a dirty play in retaliation. It was something far more powerful. A response delivered through pure, undeniable skill. With the shot clock winding down and the defense switching, Clark found herself isolated at the top of the key, with none other than BREANNA STEWART guarding her. The entire arena knew this was the moment. The reigning MVP, the Queen, stood her ground, her long arms ready to contest the shot, to extinguish the challenge. Clark took a dribble, a slight hesitation that seemed to freeze time, and then she rose up. It was a deep three, a shot of unbelievable difficulty and audacity, launched from a place of pure, unadulterated defiance. The ball arched through the air, a perfect rainbow against the bright lights, and for a split second, there was complete, reverent silence. Then, nothing but the clean sound of the net. But it wasn't the shot that was the explosion, it was what came next. Clark didn't just run back on defense. She turned, her eyes locking directly onto BREANNA STEWART's, and let out a primal scream, a raw, visceral roar that echoed through the arena. It was a sound of pure, unfiltered release, the physical manifestation of every cheap shot from Chennedy Carter, every taunt from Dejonai Carrington, every doubt from the critics, and every ounce of pressure she had been carrying for months. She clapped her hands with violent force, stared down the Queen on her own court, and in that singular, breathtaking moment, she wasn't a rookie anymore, she was a killer. This was her league now. It was a silent, devastating message sent to Stewart and the entire WNBA. You can push me, you can hit me, you can try to intimidate me, but you will never, ever break me. You will only make me stronger. The game ended, but the story was just beginning. The shockwaves from that moment reverberating throughout the sports world. In the post-game press conference, the air was thick with unspoken tension. Clark was inevitably asked about that specific moment, about the shot, the scream, the stare-down, with Stewart. She played it cool, reverting to the polished, media-trained athlete, giving a generic answer about being a competitor and getting lost in the heat of the moment. But her eyes told a different story. They held a new fire, a hardness that wasn't there before, the look of someone who had been through a war and come out the other side. BREANNA STEWART, on the other hand, was visibly rattled. She deflected questions about the incident, trying to steer the conversation back to her team's performance. But the damage was done. The image of the rookie screaming in her face after hitting the biggest shot of the game was already going viral, a symbolic passing of the torch, whether she was ready to relinquish it or not. Sports analysts were immediately divided, their takes flooding the airwaves. Some praised Clark's unbridled passion, hailing it as the birth of the next great rivalry, comparing its potential intensity to the legendary clashes of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird that defined an era of the NBA. They argued this is exactly what the WNBA needed, not just a transcendent star, but a fiery, unapologetic leader who wasn't afraid to challenge the old guard and create compelling drama. Others, however, saw it as a brazen act of disrespect, a rookie who hadn't yet earned the right to show up a two-time MVP in such a dramatic fashion. They were all missing the point. This wasn't about respect or disrespect. It was a declaration of war. It was a message sent not just to Stewart, but to every player who thought they could intimidate her out of the league. Caitlin Clark had officially arrived, not just as a shooter, but as a fighter, and she had just announced that she would not be bullied into submission. What we see on the court is only a fraction of the story, the visible tip of an immense iceberg. The real battle for Caitlin Clark is being fought away from the cameras, in the quiet, solitary moments where the crushing weight of an entire league's future rests squarely on her two-year-old shoulders. Imagine being anointed the savior of a professional sports league before you've even played a single professional game. Imagine every move you make, on and off the court, every shot, every turnover, every facial expression, being dissected by millions of people across 1,000 different platforms. The pressure is unimaginable, a constant, suffocating presence. She's not just a basketball player, she's the CEO of a movement, the face of a revolution, and the league's golden goose, all rolled into one impossibly young person. That explosion of emotion against BREANNA STEWART wasn't just about a single shot in a single game. It was the violent culmination of months of pent-up frustration and silent endurance. It was for the blindside hip check from Kennedy Carter. It was for the constant grabbing and mocking from Dejounte Carrington. It was for every doubter who said she was too soft, too frail for the pros, that her college game wouldn't translate. It was a release valve for the immense psychological burden she carries every single day. A burden no athlete should have to bear alone. Athletes often talk about the dark place, the mental and emotional fatigue that comes with performing at the highest level under the brightest lights. Clark is living there right now. The physical toll is visible in the bruises and the post-game ice packs, but the mental toll is invisible, insidious, and far more dangerous. Her fiery response in that game wasn't a loss of control. It was a necessary survival mechanism. It was her way of fighting back against the overwhelming forces trying to crush her spirit before she even had a chance to build her legacy. In the end, the story of Caitlin Clark's rookie season is no longer just about breaking records or selling tickets. It's about enduring a trial by fire, a baptism in the most hostile of environments. The relentless physical targeting, symbolized by the gritty, punishing play of enforcers like Sophie Cunningham, was designed to test her limits, to see if she would bend or break. The silent war with the league's established queen, BREANNA STEWART, was meant to put her in her place, to remind her of the existing hierarchy. But instead of breaking her, it has forged her into something new, something more dangerous, something the league may not be prepared for. The explosion we all witnessed wasn't a loss of control. It was the emergence of a warrior. It was the precise moment a phenom decided she would no longer be a target, but the one who dictates the terms of engagement. She answered the league's crude physicality not with complaints or pleas to the officials, but with cold, hard, undeniable dominance. The question that now hangs over the entire WNBA is a difficult and profound one. Is this defiant, fiery, battle-hardened version of Caitlin Clark exactly what the sport needed to ascend to the next level of superstardom? A competitor whose fire will fuel a decade of rivalries? Or are we watching the beginning of a tragic burnout, a star burning so brightly and so intensely that she risks extinguishing herself before her time is truly up. Only time will tell, but one thing is absolutely certain. The game, the league, and the world of sports have been changed forever.